What's up, everybody? Welcome to Heads Up Play, episode 55. Man, college football, we are week 6 right now. We're on episode 55. We are
55.
going through them, guys. Week 6 college football. We got a lot of NFL college football. The Atlanta Braves got knocked out. We're not going to talk about that much, but we are going to discuss it. But we got a lot we need to talk about. With so little time, let's get started.
Episode 55. Yes, sir. Episode 55 of the Heads Up
Sammy
Play
boy.
podcast.
Sammy boy.
What boy?
Sammy boy.
Sammy boy. I haven't been called Sammy boy since maybe I was like 13.
You like
Come here, Sammy boy.
Sponge me boy.
Sponge me boy. We got a lot of football to talk about, and I don't know if you know this. I know you know this, but I don't know if you guys know this.
What is it?
We're only a couple weeks away from the start of college basketball.
Woo!
Alabama, Wake Forest, October 18th. They're lowering the Final Four flag, October 11th. Hope they're live streaming it. We're getting into it, but we got a lot of football to talk about, obviously.
Well, tonight, after starting tonight, there will be 55 days of consecutive football.
Ain't that a coincidence? Episode 55, 55 straight days of college football. Well, there's college, NFL. I don't know. Are you going to go through the gauntlet of trying to watch a game every single night? At least have one on in the background? I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it.
I don't know if I can. It's usually Mac Nation.
Mac, Sunbelt, Mountain West. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that.
I'll watch, like Monday Night Football, of course, NFL. I'll watch that in the background. It's the Tuesday nights and the Wednesday nights.
See, Tuesday and Wednesday night are like those. You're in the middle of the work week, you know.
Like I will watch when South plays Troy. I will watch that one, and then Wednesday I'm not gonna watch like Buffalo versus Eastern Kentucky. I'm not gonna watch.
Nobody's watching that.
Sorry. I start back on Thursday with Prime Video. Like tonight, me and you against each other, man. Bucks versus Falcons tonight, man. It's gonna be a good game. We'll talk about that later in the episode, though, of course. But let's talk about another Atlanta team briefly and shortly because they had such a forgettable season this year. It was one of those. Did we really even want to make the playoffs? We're talking, of course, about the Atlanta Braves.
You said it. I think you hit the nail on the head there with what you just said. A forgettable season.
Yes.
It's not going to be forgettable in the sense of like, oh, we just totally forgot about 2023. 2024. I do think that a lot of us are going to remember 2024 quite well. We made the playoffs despite all the odds, despite all the circumstances. But it is a season that, it's one to just kind of look. You and I said it months ago. The season was a wash months ago. The fact that they made the playoffs, I still kind of expected them to make the playoffs, but it kind of in the position that they did.
But I don't know. I just kind of wish we didn't.
So many injuries to key pieces. It's not a small injury here and there. It's a big injury to a key piece left and right.
Yes.
And so many of them early in the season. Spencer Strider pitched like 2 games before he was out for the season. Ronald Acuna Jr. was out in May. Austin Riley was out a long time. Michael Harris.
Is the first time someone's ever said this, but thank God Marcell Ozuna was around.
This team, am I crazy for saying they probably would have ended with a losing record had Marcell Ozuna not been on the team?
It wasn't for Marcell Ozuna and Chris Sale. We would have had it. And I guess you could say Ronaldo Lopez, maybe, maybe Max Fried, but mostly Marcell Ozuna and Chris Sale.
Yeah, and look, we're going to talk a lot more about the Braves and baseball as we get closer to the start of next season, because hopefully we'll be fully healthy. Hopefully we won't have these issues next year.
Maybe we sign somebody.
Maybe we sign somebody. I highly doubt it based on just history and the business practices that the Braves have gone down ever since Liberty Media took over and Alex Anthopoulos. And you and I talked about it the other night, not on the podcast, but just during one of the games. I think it was last night. Braves fans, think about this. He gets so much credit for what he did in the middle of the season at the trade deadline in 2021 to go and win the World Series with that team. Have we, over the past couple years as Braves fans, given Alex Anthopoulos too much leeway and given him too much credit than he actually deserves? Because I'm starting to believe that might be the case.
Because he can't sign nobody in free agency. I'm just telling you.
He can work up a trade like nobody else. He is a magician with trades. But
and you know what? People are going to comment underneath this video and say that we don't know what we're talking about. But check mark that. We'll come back.
We'll come back. Just like we don't know what we're talking about Oklahoma either.
So before we move on with baseball, I'm just telling you. I don't know if you've seen it. Do you know a certain pitcher on the Kansas City Royals who has won the last 3 World Series? And they beat the Orioles yesterday to move on. If this happens, if Will Smith, the relief pitcher, wins his fourth World Series
in a row.
I mean, you gotta sign him. I mean, right? I mean, you would want to sign him, correct?
Well, all right. So here's my deal with that. Another thing with Braves fans, and I know we're sticking on the Braves here for a minute longer than we probably were expecting to, but I think Braves fans stick to players a little bit more than we should. We tend to love players. We're doing it right now with Max Fried. Yes, re-sign Max Fried. I think it'd be awesome. But did we really need to go out and get Jorge Soler? Did we really need to go out and re-sign Eddie Rosario earlier in the season?
And I mean, looking back at it now, did we really need to go re-sign
Charlie? Did we need to re-sign Charlie Morton for another season? Like, let's go out and let's get some new guys.
Luke Jackson was another one. They love
Luke Jackson. It's like they tried to recreate this 2021 magic and it didn't work. And one more thing. The Braves put on this thing of like, okay, we want to build from the ground up. We want to have the homegrown players. And yes, we do when you look at Michael Harris, Austin Riley, and some of the other guys. But outside of like a lot of international draftees, we've kind of shit the bed when it comes to the actual draft. I mean, you look at Austin Riley, you look at Michael Harris. Outside of those two, and I guess maybe Spencer's, well, outside of those two, what position player have we drafted that has done anything for us?
Position player, Michael Harris
and Austin Riley, and that's it. Matt Olson was a trade. Sean Murphy was a trade. Travis d'Arnaud was a trade. Now, we've done okay with our pitchers when you look at Max Fried, Spencer Strider, and some other guys. But position players, we hadn't really done much. But let's not dwell too much on the Braves because we can go on and on.
Are you going to watch the rest of the playoff series?
I will keep up with it going forward, and I will watch the World Series closely. That's what I'll do. But the DSs and the CSs, I'll probably just kind of keep up with them.
I'll be honest. I keep up with it, but I probably won't. I'll turn it on to watch it maybe, but
it's going to depend on who's in the World Series for me. I mean, if the Royals or the Tigers make the World Series, I might be watching that. But if we got Dodgers or the Phillies,
I think I told him the team that's going to win the World Series played Atlanta this week, and that is the San Diego Padres.
They're hot, man. I mean, hottest. I mean, if you're a Braves fan, you can at least say that. At least the team you lost to won the World Series. If they go and do that, you kind of gotta hope for the Padres.
This is the first time though since we started, made the playoffs 7 years in a row that I've never been like ill will towards a team that knocked us out. Like, I have no ill will.
I have a lot of I respect the Padres. I mean, I hate the Phillies. I was just glad we didn't play the Phillies again.
That would have been bad, but all right. Well, let's get into college football. We had a really big game this past week. A game that I said a lot of words I probably shouldn't have said.
Wait. What game?
Georgia versus Bama.
Oh yeah. See, I was trying to make a little joke here, be like, "Oh, do we have a game this past week?"
Huh?
Huge game.
Huge. First of all, they let Roll Tide Willie cannot go back to the stadium. Bullshit. He is a hero.
He single-handedly got Ryan Williams to Alabama.
I'm just saying. Have you ever seen the SEAL Team 6 members and Willie in the same room?
I'm just saying, Donald Trump was there. Have we seen Donald Trump and Willie in the same room? I mean, isn't it such a coincidence that Willie just so happened to get kicked out of Tuscaloosa when Donald Trump was there? Maybe they're the same person. I don't know. It would make sense.
Well, he's telling me, but Alabama versus Georgia, by far the best game of the year. This had the playoff environment vibe. I've never watched the regular season game besides the Iron Bowl, really, Lat. But we're going to fill this again in a couple of weeks when we play Tennessee. But this just felt like there was more to it.
The only two games, and they're actually Alabama games, just not because I'm an Alabama fan, but I think just due to the magnitude of how good Alabama has been. The only two games that I can think of in recent memory that come close to that were Alabama-Tennessee in 2022 in Neyland Stadium and Alabama-LSU in 2019, the Joe Burrow-Tua game. That back and forth game.
I would say the Iron Bowl in the last 2 years.
I would say that too, but it's just the stakes for that game outside of what they were for Alabama, weren't nearly as high as those two games.
I fully expect, though, this year the Tennessee game will be as electrifying as this Georgia game.
I hate to say it, and we'll get into that game here in a couple weeks. It scares the crap out of me. But this past game, Alabama-Georgia, one of the most electric environments I've ever seen for Bryant-Denny Stadium. People are starting to finally give Bryant-Denny Stadium its credit. It's not the loudest place in the world, I can tell you that. Been there many, many times for games. I live in Gainesville. The Swamp's louder. It is.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, all the home games, for the most part, aside from one game like that every few years, are kind of lackluster because Alabama's going to dominate. So they don't have to get that loud. But this was a really loud game, and people are saying Bryant-Denny Stadium has the best in-game atmosphere in all of college football. When you take the video, the tradition, the band, the lights, everything around it, it is the best of the best. And I would argue for it, absolutely. But the game itself, John Rivers, once in a blue moon, you'll get a player who is just different and is different from the start. I think of players like Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow. I know these are all quarterbacks. Ryan Williams gives me this kind of vibe of he's just different. He is a man amongst boys, and he's 17. He's the youngest dude on the field.
He's 17. They haven't noticed that.
In case you didn't know, he is 17.
And I would understand if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm getting tore up by a 17-year-old, and they just every time they meet, kind of like when you're going against the Chiefs, and you're like Taylor Swift. The shit gets old. As an Alabama fan, I'll say that
it's starting to get old. Yeah. Can we just let him play? To me, though, like when you watch him on the field,
he's so good. I don't think people understand how hard it is to be running full speed, catch the ball, and then stop. Stop.
And make two dudes kiss each other.
And then run full speed and outrun them.
Not only that, but the incredible circus catch that he had, earlier in the third quarter. I mean, it's like I haven't heard anybody make this comparison, but this is what I think it is. When you would play like backyard football with like your dad?
Yeah.
And you knew because your dad was 45 that you could just run all over him? That's what it looks like. It looks like a little kid playing against 50-year-olds.
He was one of the biggest bright spots of the game, but I tell you someone who I think might have been a brighter star of that game, and that's Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, they have said that his NFL stock has skyrocketed to the point today, Pro Football Focus, PFFF, they released their mock draft, and they have him as the number one quarterback off the board now.
Well, and I've been seeing a lot of that too. I saw the very next morning, Rex Ryan and a
Yes,
bunch of other
yes.
guys were saying,
Yeah,
why
right.
isn't this guy considered the number one?
Yeah,
Well,
he said, why the hell is Carson Beck number one? It should be Jalen Miller.
and I totally understand that, but what I think that shows is Jalen Milroe has played this well all season for the most part. I mean, all previous games. I just think that there's a separation between the NFL crowd and the college crowd. And it takes huge, massive games like that for the NFL crowd to pay attention to college to where they can actually see a guy like Jalen Milroe go off.
Mark this down. If we beat Tennessee, he will win the Heisman.
I think he would have to, unless we just, lose some crazy game, to Missouri or.
I don't even think that's. I'm telling you, we can lose Missouri. You beat Tennessee at the time will be the number 3rd team in the nation, 3rd or 4th team in the nation, and you would have beat the number 1 team previously. He'll win the Heisman. He'll win the Heisman.
I think just with the stats that he's already the betting favorite, I believe, to win the Heisman. I think Cam Ward's right behind him, but Cam Ward ain't played nobody. Jalen Milroe just went and beat the number 2 team in the country. So, look, it was an incredible game. We're not going to get another game quite like that. Even Alabama-Tennessee, as big as that game would be, I don't think it's going to have the magnitude quite like that one. It'll come very, very, very close. And Tennessee fans are crazy. They're going to storm the field if they win and, light cigars.
October 19th is going to be the best weekend of football.
Texas, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee. And don't forget, week before that, Ohio State, Oregon. We've been waiting for that game for a while now.
There's another game. I want to say it's Michigan, Penn State that week also.
It might be. Well, let's go ahead.
Michigan, Illinois, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. Who else? Yeah. Wow.
Well, let's go ahead and get into some of these games for this week. Not quite as big of a weekend, but for ranked matchups this week. But first one in the SEC, biggest game in the SEC, I think. Missouri, number 9 in the country, going on the road to Kyle Field. I'm going to say this is Mike Elko's biggest game so far. Well, no, Notre Dame probably would have been the biggest, right? But Notre Dame has kind of fallen off.
Quarterback at this game.
What now? Oh, it's it's going to be that black dude. I don't think it's going to be Connor Wegman, right?
He's still hurt?
I think so. And then, of course, Brady Cook for Missouri. Missouri has looked I don't want to say lackluster, but they don't look the way they were last year. John Rivers, I think Texas A&M beats Missouri this weekend.
I would say that if it's Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed,
that's right.
I would say that. I would have said that if it was a nighttime game. It's an 11 o'clock kickoff.
I don't understand that for a game like this.
I don't either. I mean, there's not a lot. The game. The Kirk Herbstreit and Reese Fowler.
Yeah.
It's Georgia at Arkansas. Not Georgia. Tennessee at Arkansas. Why? Why is that the ABC?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Like game day this week's at Berkeley, Miami, California.
I do think we need to discuss because we don't have that on the list. I do think we need to touch on it. Let's go ahead and talk about that one next.
Give me Missouri.
Missouri, okay. All right, so College game day this week. This is an interesting matchup because, first big ACC game for Cal, right? And Miami has to go all the way to the other side of the country. Coke versus Woke.
Did they beat Florida State?
No. That was Florida State's first win, was Cal. It was a very close, ugly game.
I knew it was close and ugly. I just couldn't remember who won.
Florida State ended up pulling that one out. I'm going to say Miami wins this game.
Give me Miami, yeah.
But I would not be shocked. What's the last big-time game that Cal has had? I don't know. Maybe their fans have been waiting for something big to happen for a long time. They got College game day. Marshawn Lynch is going to be there as the guest picker.
Right. I was worried they were going to get someone. They should have got Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. I think it's perfect pick. Or they could have gotten He's playing, but maybe they could have gotten Aaron Rodgers and
Oh,
everybody
God.
trip on DMT up on the desk.
I don't think him and McAfee get along no more, do they?
They don't do their thing anymore. I don't think their little
I
segment
don't think they
anymore.
get along anymore. Or ESPN. That's right. ESPN won't let Aaron Rodgers.
That's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, give me Miami in that game. But I would not be shocked if Cal pulls an upset at home in Berkeley.
Oh yeah, easily.
I'll tell you this one right here. This is not going to be a pretty one. Auburn on the road at Georgia.
Oh, poor Auburn. Poor.
Georgia minus 24-point favorites, I believe.
I think Georgia's going to put 50 on them.
I think so too. I think Georgia, they had some offensive struggles. They struggled in the first half offensively against Clemson. They struggled offensively against Kentucky. They struggled offensively in the first half against Alabama. But that second half against Alabama, where they came back, the offense was grooving. And I think that Carson Beck has found his groove. I would hate to be the team that faces Kirby Smart the week after losing to Alabama in the regular season. Give me Georgia big time. I think they're going to put up 50 on them too. I think Auburn has shown me nothing. They did just land Deuce Knight. Hey, congratulations.
My God, he went to almost. It just took him to go to every single game. It felt like.
I know, right? I can only imagine how much the LFL is paying him to actually go there.
I know somebody put and I don't know how true this is. It might just be fake. Like a screenshot of Texas from Deuce Knight. Like, yeah, I'm going to Auburn. And all Hugh kept talking about was money.
Oh my God, I'm sure.
Let me ask you, Auburn's 2-3 right now. They're going to be 2-4. Does Auburn even win 5 games this year? Not even 5. Just 5.
Well, here we were at the beginning of the season saying Auburn could be 5-0 going into the Georgia game.
I thought that you would. I really thought that. Here's the remaining schedule: at Georgia,
loss.
At Missouri,
loss.
At Kentucky, loss. Kentucky defense. If they can hold Jackson Dart, they sure as hell can hold. And it's at their house. They can. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's a loss.
Vandy at Auburn.
That maybe.
UNL Monroe at Auburn.
That's a win.
Texas A&M at Auburn.
Loss.
Auburn at Alabama.
Definite loss. They may win. They may have what they're currently sitting at 2-3. You said.
Yes, they might only win 4.
I'm telling you, if they don't make a bowl game, which is not looking like they're going to at all,
they're struggling with Vandy.
Their quarterback is the guy who beat you at New Mexico State.
Both of them. Auburn's in a rough spot right now. Because Deuce Knight, I think he's one of those kids. He's going to change his mind another time. To be honest, if you do not get a stud freshman quarterback or anything, Hugh Freeze is done. You got to get a quarterback. You got to get one in the portal. You really gonna start a true freshman off Deuce Knight? I mean, y'all feel like he's Newton.
Auburn's start. People are talking now about Hugh Freeze the same way they were in week 5 to 6, mind you. The same way people were talking about Billy Napier in year 2 in like week 10. They are in a bad spot right now for Auburn, and I hate it for them. I hate Auburn, but I also want to see them win games outside of the Iron Bowl because I like the Iron Bowl to be big.
No, I agree. Speaking of Florida, kind of a big interstate rivalry to this week. UCF at Florida. Are you going to the game this week?
I am not. I am not going to this game. We kind of gave our tickets away. But is it not embarrassing? I heard Chris Doering, former Florida great wide receiver in the 90s, of course, under Steve Spurrier with SEC Network. He was talking to the Next Round, I think, saying, isn't it embarrassing? Isn't it out of this mind? Would you have ever pictured a world where UCF is a 4-point favorite
over Florida
in the swamp, mind you?
Yeah. They're going to beat the shit out of them.
I mean, especially after the way they just lost to... We expected UCF to beat the crap out of Colorado. Gus Malzahn's going to whip it into their ass right now.
People won't admit it. Colorado's good this year. I think
they are looking good. They're looking a lot better.
I'm not saying they're going to go to the playoffs or nothing. No, they're not going to win the Big 12. but they ain't. I bet you they go to a bowl.
Oh, I would think so. I think they win at least 6 games, maybe even 7 or 8. I mean, hell, Colorado's undefeated in the they're competing for a Big 12 championship right now, actually.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, for this game, this one's huge for Billy Napier because you have to win this game because you've already lost to Miami, who just beat the shit out of USF, but USF took Alabama to the wire. And then if UCF comes in and beats you, you're at the bottom of the barrel. They're supposed to be the big three in the state of Florida: Miami, Florida State, Florida. You ain't in it. No. You ain't in it. You're way outside of it.
Give me UCF.
I'm going to say UCF wins this game too. I hate it, but I mean, and this is what Florida fans want. Florida fans are actually hoping that they lose this game and probably every other game going forward because they want Billy Napier gone, and rightfully so. And they haven't shown any evidence that they are going to fire him soon. And I think it's probably because they don't know who they would have as an interim coach, nor do they maybe have the money to buy him out.
So we both agree Central Florida. Well, let's go to the school that they think they're going to hire him from. Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. You know, he had a lot of traction, Lane Kiffin in Florida. But right now he's focused on Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss got their ass handed to them last week against Kentucky. You know, Nick Saban came out and said, you saw the play with the Kentucky quarterback. They ran a little sneak, and he dropped the ball, but like it just landed in the wide receiver's hands. He walked in for touchdown. Nick Saban said, when that shit happens, you're going to lose. You can't help it. You ain't going to be able to. You can't help that. You're going to lose. But lost to Kentucky this past week. You're at South Carolina. I'm going to be honest. I expect a very high-scoring game, but give me Ole Miss.
You know what? Not so fast.
Oh.
I really like this South Carolina team. I think South Carolina has given Shane Beamer the time that he deserves. We don't know how good of a coach Shane Beamer is, just because he hasn't really been successful anywhere, but he also hasn't been unsuccessful anywhere, really. It's been a lackluster start for him at South Carolina, but I think he's got his guys in now. Lenore Sellers looks good. That defense looks pretty decent, right? I mean, they took the Kentucky team who just beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss, and they beat the crap out of them at Kentucky.
31-6, yes.
And I know that that doesn't always correlate here, right? Lane Kiffin's probably locked in for this game after a loss. He knows how good South Carolina is. On paper, I think it's an Ole Miss win, but I like this South Carolina team, man. I think
it's a gritty team. It's a gritty team.
And I think South Carolina, it's a fun team to watch. It's a fun stadium to watch a game at with the sandstorm. I think it's going to be loud. I think it's going to be rocking. Give me South Carolina.
I like it. I like it. Well, now this next game, and the reason why I put it on here, because I got a bold take for you.
Okay.
Indiana at Northwestern. Kurt Cignetti, or how do you pronounce it?
Cignetti.
He is the next great coach of college football.
I was just thinking about this today. But go ahead and make your point because I'm going to add on it.
I think he is going to be – I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Nick Saban, but I'm putting it out there. He is the next up-and-comer to get a Power 5 job and take a Power 5 to a national championship.
You know, I literally was just thinking about this today because I wanted to talk about this. It seems like in the year 2024, since the retirement of Nick Saban, we're starting to see the next great wave of coaches. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer is starting to show just how much of a monster he is, right? And just how much of a crazy winner he is. Just lost 12 games in his entire career, going back to Sioux Falls. Kurt Cignetti is also just a flat-out winner. I mean, I can get him pulled up right now. Kurt Cignetti.
Yes.
Record. It ain't far off from Kalen DeBoer's. 124 and 35.
Oh,
and he kind of had a very similar path. Coached in the NAIA. Brought James Madison. James Madison dominated. I am right there with you on the Sig, man, for sure. You got Indiana of all people, beat the crap out of guys. Couple other guys that I think are in this wave of coaching. John Summerall, who's a dude.
Yes.
And Jamie Chadwell. Jamie Chadwell not quite up with those guys, but watch out.
Jamie Chadwell, though, he shot himself in the foot going from.
It was a lateral move, if anything,
It just felt very lateral.
It was also, I mean, even John Summerall felt kind of like just barely a step up from Troy to Tulane.
Another one. And maybe I'm saying this just because he was South Alabama's coach and now he's I really think Kane Womack will be a great head coach.
I think Kane will be at Alabama probably this year and maybe next, and someone's going to come knocking on the door for him with a big time job in the SEC.
I wouldn't be shocked if he goes NFL as a defensive coordinator.
He kind of comes from an NFL. He comes from a college background, but I know he has some history with like the Seattle Seahawks and the Legion of Boom. Him and his dad had something to do with that. So, but that wouldn't surprise me either. But I'm with you 100%. Give me Indiana big in this game.
Big game. Also, we got another game. And I want to say this made our top 10 games of the top 10 games we're excited for this season because we didn't know how bad they're. Clemson at Florida State.
Let me tell you, Clemson is now my favorite to win the ACC.
I agree. I definitely think Clemson will win the ACC. I mean, win outright. I mean, it's between Clemson, Miami, and I'm going to tell you another one. SMU, and there's one more team, Boston College.
Yeah. The ACC has been kind of fun to keep up with this year.
I feel like the ACC and the Big 12 are very wide open. After Utah getting their ass whooped last week, I can't tell you who's going to win the ACC.
If I had to choose anybody, I think it'd be Clemson. I think if Clemson and Miami were to play today, I think Clemson would win. And I think it is going to be those two in the ACC championship game. And this game, of course, Clemson is going to beat the dog crap out of Florida State. Florida State's just flat out bad.
Florida State's they're putting the backup in.
I have seen they're benching DJU finally.
I don't know why it took them this long to bench DJU.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, dang, just let the season play out. You've lost this many games. You ain't making a playoff or anything.
It was kind of like, why after you lost to Memphis, or you going into halftime losing to Memphis, why the hell is he still in?
Just god awful. He has been god awful, and people are going to start coming after Mike Norvell too. I mean, yeah, he had the fantastic season last season.
He just signed that big old.
I know, but FSU fans just like Florida, they demand to win.
How bad is the Florida State and Florida game going to be?
Oh God, it was. Do you remember last year? It was bad because remember Jordan Travis was out last year. Oh, yeah. I believe Graham Mertz was out last year. No, I mean that was an ugly game last year.
I remember that Louisville versus Florida State.
My God, freaking Jake Plummer or whoever it was could not score a touchdown to save his life.
That was the worst game I think I've ever watched in my life.
Ugly.
Clorox in my eyes. But let's talk about this next game. And it's odd because I feel like it's not getting as much hype as it should because it's a national championship rematch.
Yeah, it is. And
you don't see that a lot in season. You'll see that maybe in the playoff. You don't see that in season. It is Michigan versus Washington at Washington.
And isn't it crazy? Both head coaches are not there anymore.
I know. It does not feel like a rematch game.
I thought I'm going to go with Michigan in this game. I think Michigan is starting to impress me a little bit. They're running a service academy offense. They ain't throwing the ball for nothing. They're telling you every single play what they're going to do. They're running the ball.
You just got to beat me, yes.
You just got to be more physical. And there's some physical dudes. It's tough to bring them down.
They have underwhelmed me. They're not as good as I thought they would.
Well, Jed Fish has underwhelmed me. I thought he's a good coach, but he had one good season at Arizona, and I didn't think that was enough to go. I mean, that's our guy. He had a great season at Arizona. He brought Arizona. Well, yeah, he doesn't have a track record outside of that.
This wasn't the national championship. I totally agree. They lost this year to Rutgers. I don't know if you watched also, by the way. Greg Schiano
got them boys looking good.
I'm telling you, Rutgers was bad. I mean, they were about as low as they could get as a Power 5 school. Probably like the worst Power 5 school. Down there with like Vandy.
Yeah.
Kind of bad.
Yeah,
But
really bad.
he's got it turned around. But give me Michigan. You know, the line's not bad. I think it's only like 2 points. But I think Michigan's going to beat the shit out of Washington.
I'm excited to see this because these are, I mean, just this one. And then the very next week you get, I believe that's Ohio State and Oregon. Ohio State going to Oregon. So the new Big Ten we're starting to see here. It's going to be really interesting. All right. Here, the game of the week in the SEC, for whatever reason, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, as you mentioned earlier, Tennessee on the road at Arkansas. Give me them Hogs. I'm just kidding. No way in hell. Give me the Vols all the way. I think they're going to beat the dog crap out of Arkansas.
I agree. Give me Tennessee. Give me Tennessee big. Now, it's time to talk about the Tide. That's how we play SEC based football. Alabama, you're next. Head ass in Vanderbilt. We play the Commodore. We even is a Commodore. I only know Lionel Richie as a Commodore. I don't even know what a Vandy is. I'm just telling you. Here are some things in Alabama I want to see. You know, I'm never happy. Never. I'm like Frank the Tank. I don't want to think I'm that gloom and doom, but I am sometimes. We got to clean up on some of the stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Let me tell you what I think we need to clean up on. Stop the hot dog shit.
The hot dog shit.
How many flea flickers did we try to run after we got up 28-0 on Georgia? Stop. Run the ball upfield. Clock management. Please, can we work on clock management? We were snapping the ball, Sam, in the last 3 minutes with 20 seconds left. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Hold the ball. You know Nick Saban would have drained it. We better watch out for that quarterback at Vandy. I'm just telling you, he is a ball player. He's already beat one school from Alabama. These are the games, because Vandy has that potential. I'm not saying they're going to beat Alabama, but they have that potential of why not us? What do we have to lose?
Well, Alabama. You saw what Josh Chapman. You know, Josh Chapman works for for the football team now. I don't know what he does, like director of player personnel or something like that. Well, you saw he went in there into the facility and dropped mouse traps all through the facility to make sure, hey, there's a trap game. So they know this Vandy team, hey, you should beat the crap out of them, but don't play around. Don't let them hang around with you.
Don't let them think. Yeah, don't go in there thinking, well, we got who we play? We off next week?
No, we'll play South Carolina, and that's another trap game. That ain't even a trap game. That's a good team.
Don't go in there thinking, oh, well, we got South Carolina. No, this is still an SEC team that has beat 2 Power 5 schools this year, or was going to beat a power. They had Missouri beat.
Had you not, you took Virginia Tech down to the wire, and you miss a field goal to take it to triple overtime. And let's say you make that field goal and you end up with the win. That's a 3-win team. And then if you don't shit the bed against Georgia State, it could be an undefeated Vandy team.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Watch out for Vandy this week. But give me Bama by 20. Does Ryan Williams have another big game?
I think in this game, Alabama's going to want to get some other receivers involved. I really like the way we're utilizing Ryan Williams. I want to see more Emmanuel Henderson. I want to see more Kendrick Law. I want to see more Kobe Prince.
Definitely want to see more Kendrick Law. I told you preseason, I thought Kendrick Law was going to have a big season. I kind of feel like against the Wisconsin, I didn't even see him.
Well, he's done a fantastic job blocking. I mean, he's a man out there just dragging dudes to the ground blocking. But I want to get him some receptions. And I want to get the run game going more. Justice Haynes has not touched the ball nearly enough to my liking this season.
I definitely think we ain't been able to run the ball. I'll be honest. If it wasn't for Jalen Milroe, I promise you, he has the most rushing yards on the team.
Well, it's with our run game. One, we're not running the ball much to begin with, and I know it's a primarily passing attack offense with DeBoer, but we're not running it to begin with. And when we do run it, it's either break a huge run just to the house, or we're stuffed at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, 2 yards. Yeah.
You know, there's no like, hey, There's no 5, 6, 7 yard gain on a run. It's one or the other. And then to your point earlier, let's clean up some of the penalties. I know it was against Georgia, but we also had a ton of penalties against USF. Had a few against Wisconsin. I want those cleaned up. And for the defense, I do think that we took took the foot off the gas pedal in the second half.
Well,
But I thought Kane Womack, I listened to his press conference the other day, I thought he made a really good point as to why they played the way they did. And you don't really think about this in the moment during the game, but when you come into a second half and it's 30-7, you're up, 23 points. Well, just about every single time now, unless it's 4th and long, they're going for it on 4th down. So you kind of have to play a different style because now you're working with 4 downs instead of 3. And that was what pissed me off so much in that game. It wasn't that we let them, we gave up big chunk plays. We knew that was going to happen. We could not stop them on 4th down whatsoever. They were 5 of 5 on 4th down, and we gave up 2 penalties to technically make it 7 of 7.
I don't blame the defense. I blame the offense. We could not We could not get a 3rd down we would go down there 3 and out, and would shave no time off the clock.
Yeah, we got cold.
We never could do it. We never could do it. And then it felt like the whole second half. I give it to Miller, run to the right, run to the edge. We never did anything different.
Mm. Well, and I liked what you said about, or you mentioned the trick plays. I actually like the trick plays because I feel like in the Saban era, we just didn't do it much. We did a flea flicker like every now and then, right? A fake kick every now and then. I like a nice trick play, but pull them out in the situation where it's necessary. Not when you're up 28-0. I just felt like that was.
It's Georgia. If you're doing it against South Carolina, that's fine. Georgia's been scoring. They're coming back. Why are we doing trick plays? Just run up field. I don't know. We just got to clean it up. But I do believe we'll beat the shit out of Andy.
We should. We absolutely should. I think that they know that this is a trap game for sure. They go in and they dominate. So that is our college football picks for this week. Let's talk a little bit of NFL. Just a little bit.
Who are you impressed with? I got a couple of teams.
So you mentioned him before the show to me. Jane Daniels has looked so good. So good.
3-1. I never would have thought that with the Commies.
A team, another player for me, another newbie, Brock Bowers has looked really good in some moments for me, doing good for my fantasy team.
You have not said the name I've been wanting to say.
Go ahead.
Sam Darnold. What the hell? 4-0. Who would have thought Sam Darnold would lead the Minnesota Vikings to 4-0? The only 2 teams that are 4-0 are them and the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I think the Chiefs are bound to lose a game here soon.
Well, the referees are trying to keep them.
Yeah.
I think the Falcons got screwed personally, but
let me tell you, the Falcons have been impressing me. Tough first game against the Steelers. They've looked good. They took them Saints, who looked fantastic early in the season, down to the wire. Young Hoku.
I'm gonna tell you another team though. You're Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Look, we lost a stupid game to the Broncos. Bo Nix, for whatever reason, decided to go off that game.
Bo Nix went last week and he had -7 yards at halftime and won against the Jets. At the Jets.
I don't understand how that works. But he decided to go off against the Buccaneers for whatever reason. But rebound big time against Nick Sirianni, who's, man, is he ever going to get fired? I don't know. And those Eagles who just seem to choke every single time.
Speaking of an former Eagles coach getting fired, is Doug Peterson going to get fired from the Jags? They're pretty bad.
They're bad. They're bad. And I know there was some talk about maybe Mac Jones getting traded down to the Dolphins. Anybody who said Tua is not the quarterback for the Dolphins and is not the reason that they have looked so good in that offense is dead wrong now. They are god-awful without Tua.
My God, they got to get somebody. They got to get somebody. Why would you not want to? The Jaguars are going to give up Mac Jones because they might have to use him for damn Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, do I think he's a good quarterback? Yes. But the way they were hyping him up, he's the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, since Peyton Manning. He is dog shit compared to those two. Like, he's not bad, but he is not nearly performing like they thought he would. And I'll tell you another performance in that draft class, and he's kind of made a comeback. Justin Fields.
He's looked. I think he's in a good system there with the Steelers. I do. Yeah. So in the NFC South, Buccaneers lead it, but hey, Falcons could tie it with a win tonight. They certainly could.
Oh no, the Buccaneers do lead. Yeah,
3-1 versus 2-2 for the Falcons. Seahawks 3-1. They've looked pretty good. What are some disappointments for you this season? I'm gonna tell you one for me, and I kind of knew it would happen. Caleb Williams and them Bears.
Caleb Williams he has a really good offense around him. I don't know. He looks scared. He's running around a lot. It's like he knew, he never had a defense at USC or Oklahoma. It's like he knows he has to do hero. No, dude, you're fine. Like, Chicago has defense. You're fine. You're fine, bro. Just be you. Do not have to play hero ball. You do not have to try everything to do it. Them, very disappointed in Tennessee, of course. Jacksonville. Who else? Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in Cincinnati. And I'll say another one. Who is it? Who is I going to say? Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we feel about these New York Giants sitting there at 1-3?
Oh, they're on fire. Oh, Daniel Jones is gone.
Daniel Jones is gone. Dayball, he had a great beginning.
Let me tell you who Pro Football Focus had Jalen Milroe going to at the number 2 pick. Because they had Travis Hunter going number 1 to Jacksonville. Number 2, the Miami Dolphins.
I heard him talking about this
I've heard
today.
Bryce Young in Miami.
Bryce Young getting traded to Miami?
Oh, Bryce Young's never playing in Carolina again.
Oh yeah, I think that would be perfect for him. I think that'd be perfect for him.
Last week and then scored a bunch of points this week.
I think he would do great in Miami. I really do. I just think I don't think Bryce Young's career is out the window quite yet. Do I think he'll be a starting quarterback? Not 100%.
Not
in Carolina, no. But I think if he's sent to the right spot and he impresses, I think he can still be a successful NFL quarterback. It's just Carolina is just the worst place in the world to be a quarterback, honestly.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But
do you have a question of the day to end us off?
No.
I got you one. We're in October now. Isn't that insane?
Can't believe that in 2 months I'll be coming up on a year of my wedding.
I was thinking about that the other day too. We are in October. Do you have any favorite? What are your thoughts on Halloween? Are you a Halloween guy? Did you like it as a kid? Did you like to dress up? What's your thoughts?
I'm gonna sound really dumb when I say this. I think some holidays are corporate based to where they can make money off of them, like Valentine's Day,
for sure.
Because when you look at it from 4th of July to Thanksgiving, there's no big holidays.
Yeah.
So they do these fill-in holidays to where they can still make their money and kind of make it over. Like, for instance, you got Christmas to Memorial Day. What do they have in between it? Valentine's Day. You know what I mean? Like, you think about these major holidays, there's always some sort of small holiday, but enough to where it's very commercialized.
Would you consider? Well, that makes sense because I would consider Halloween maybe the third biggest holiday. Honestly, I would say Christmas number 1, and then number 2 Thanksgiving or 4th of July.
Go Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. And then probably go Memorial Day and then Halloween.
Really?
I'm telling you, Halloween's fighting with Valentine's Day.
Wow. As an adult, I'm with you. But I think as a kid,
Well,
Man, Halloween is.
no other country really celebrates Halloween like America does, I guess.
Yeah. Good point. I like Halloween. It's fun. You know, I don't really dress up anymore. We don't have a reason to. I don't know.
You
Maybe
know,
if we go to a party or something.
yeah, I cannot tell you the last time I dressed up.
Last time I dressed up, I believe it was in college. It was in college.
I don't even know if I dressed up in college. I'll be honest.
Really.
I mean, dead honest. I've never understood the appeal with Halloween. Never have.
Okay, all right. No, you're not a sweet guy, so you don't really like candy much, do you?
I'll eat a Sour Patch Kid. I'll eat a whole damn bag of them. Like I get the Halloween bags, you cut big ones in a pack, and I'm just going through them like crazy.
I love some Sour Patch Kids, but after like 20 of them, that hurt my tongue.
I'm just telling you, I just can't get into Halloween. I really think it's. I mean, I would almost go to say it's to me, it's below Valentine's Day. Like at least Valentine's Day is celebrated around the world. I just feel like Halloween's not.
So, do you look forward to Thanksgiving? Are you a Thanksgiving guy? I know you like to eat.
I like Thanksgiving. I like things. I don't like Thanksgiving food, but I like the football. I mean.
Yeah, Lions always play on Thanksgiving. That's always fun. Get the Egg Bowl is not on Thanksgiving this year. I do not believe. What the hell?
I like having days off.
Yeah, I like that too. All right, guys. Well, I think that. Go ahead.
What holiday, in your opinion, does not get enough credit? You think? Mine's better.
Not enough credit. St. Patrick's Day. I feel like people are just like.
I think because we're in the South.
Probably. No, but I've never been to a big St. Patrick's Day celebration, and usually it's always on like a Tuesday.
We used to have to host. We used to have to do one at Hangout because they had the pub crawl from like the bar. What's it called? Mudbugs. Like they hit all the different bars, and they would come through there, and they would have like a horn and all that. But I'd have to get it. I would have to literally try to find an Irish band for 4 hours. I don't know if you tried to do that. It's the hardest thing ever in Alabama.
I bet, especially in Alabama. Maybe in Chicago or Boston. Yeah.
It's funny. My boss was like, "Yeah, find me an Irish band for a cheap budget, but good." I'm like, I don't think you realize there's not a lot.
The sample size is very big.
I would say there's not a big pond of this. It's not,
yeah. Yeah, not like we're looking for, not like there's a Nashville that's all Irish bands. Well, guys, I think that does it for episode 55 of the Heads Up Play podcast. As always,
brought the world to the A.
Hey, that guy's gonna go down in the P. Diddy trials. Just watch out. Something's gonna come out about Usher real soon.
They're not like us.
They not. I just hope they keep. Just hope Ludacris is okay. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X. You know the deal. Drop a comment. Give us your predictions for this weekend's game. Who surprised you in the NFL? What do you think about college basketball coming up soon? Who you pulling for? Who you think? Give me your early Final Four down in the comment sections for college basketball. Long way out, but we're getting there. Feels like it was just not too long ago that we did the Final Four. And here's the start of the new season coming up soon. Heads Up Play, episode 55. John Rivers, hit him with it real quick.
Be out.
You stay classy.
Stay classy.